What if I told you that at this very moment, a fortune is seeking you with the same intensity that you have been seeking it, and the only barrier standing between you and its full arrival is an invisible pattern etched into the depths of your own mind? Stay with me, for what you are about to hear may be the most important teaching you will ever receive concerning the true nature of wealth and how it flows into human experience. There is a reason you have found this message today. There is a reason you press play at this exact moment in your life. Something within you already knows that there is more abundance, more freedom, more provision, waiting just beyond the reach of your current circumstances. And something within you knows that the key to unlocking this greater life does not exist in the external world of chance and struggle, but in the sacred territory of your own subconscious mind. For centuries, the wise have whispered this truth to those with ears to hear. The ancients encoded it in scripture. The sages taught it in parables. And now, in this moment, it is being offered directly to you, not as theory, but as living principle that you can apply tonight, tomorrow, and for the rest of your days upon this earth. You are not here by accident. The very fact that you are listening proves that your deeper mind is ready to receive a higher instruction. It is ready to release the patterns that have kept abundance at a distance. It is ready to embrace a new way of thinking, feeling, and believing that aligns you with the infinite source of all supply. If this message resonates with the truth you carry within you, I invite you to subscribe to this channel now. Press the like button not merely as a gesture, but as an act of faith, a declaration that you are ready to receive the abundance that is your divine birthright. And in the comments below, write these words: "My subconscious mind is now open to infinite wealth." Let this be your covenant with a deeper part of yourself that is listening even more closely than your conscious mind. Now, let us begin this sacred journey together. There is a question that haunts the minds of countless individuals across every nation, every culture, every generation. It rises in the quiet hours of the morning when the bills are spread upon the table. It echoes through the restless nights when sleep will not come because tomorrow's obligations weigh too heavily upon the heart. It whispers in the background of every waking hour for those who sense that they were meant for something greater, something more expansive, something far beyond the limitations that seem to bind their present existence. The question is simple, and yet its answer has eluded millions. Why do some people attract wealth with apparent ease while others labor endlessly and remain in lack? Why does money flow towards certain individuals as rivers flow toward the sea, while for others it seems to evaporate the moment it touches their hands? Why can two people of equal intelligence, equal education, equal opportunity walk entirely different paths, one toward abundance without measure, the other toward perpetual insufficiency? I tell you now, with complete certainty born of countless observations and the immutable laws of mind, that the answer does not rest in external circumstances. It does not rest in luck, in timing, in connections, or in the capricious favor of fortune. The answer rests entirely within the depths of your own subconscious mind, that vast interior kingdom that operates beneath the surface of your waking awareness and shapes every condition of your outer life with silent, unfailing precision. Your conscious mind may desire wealth with great intensity. You may think about money constantly. You may work toward it, plan for it, pray for it with fervent words. But if your subconscious mind holds a contradictory pattern, a hidden belief that you are unworthy, that wealth is somehow wrong, that abundance belongs to others but not to you, then every conscious effort will be undermined by a deeper current flowing the opposite direction. This is a great secret that separates those who manifest abundance from those who merely dream of it. The conscious mind proposes, but the subconscious mind disposes. The conscious mind sets intentions, but the subconscious mind determines outcomes. And until these two aspects of your being are brought into alignment, until your deepest beliefs match your highest desires, you will continue to experience the frustration of wanting what you cannot seem to have. Consider for a moment the nature of this remarkable faculty that operates within you. Your subconscious mind never sleeps. While your conscious awareness rests, your subconscious continues its ceaseless activity, regulating your heartbeat, orchestrating your breath, processing the experiences of your day, and most importantly, projecting into material form the patterns of belief that you have impressed upon it through repetition, emotion, and acceptance. It does not judge these patterns. It does not question whether they serve your highest good. It does not distinguish between a belief that will make you wealthy and a belief that will keep you impoverished. It simply accepts what you give it and proceeds to manifest corresponding conditions in your external world with the same mathematical precision that governs the rising of the sun and the turning of the seasons. This is why two individuals can receive the same advice, read the same principles, apply what appears to be the same effort, and achieve entirely different results. The difference is not in the advice, not in the technique, not in the action taken. The difference is in the subconscious patterns that filter every experience and determine what form reality shall take in each person's life. I knew a man once, we shall call him Harold, who spent 30 years working in a factory, rising before dawn and returning after dusk, giving his finest efforts day after day, year after year, yet never seeming to advance beyond mere subsistence. His conscious mind believed in hard work. His hands were callous from labor. His commitment was beyond question. Yet abundance remained forever out of reach, always receding like a horizon that can be walked toward but never touched. What Harold did not realize was that deep within his subconscious mind, planted in childhood and reinforced through decades of repetition, was a belief that people like him did not become wealthy. His father had worked the same factory. His grandfather had labored in the same manner. The pattern was not merely family history, it had become subconscious identity. And as long as that identity remained intact, no amount of physical effort could produce a different result. Then something remarkable occurred. Harold encountered the principle that I am now sharing with you. He learned that his subconscious mind could be re-imprinted with new patterns, that the beliefs of the past did not have to dictate the conditions of the future. He learned that by impressing his subconscious with images and feelings of abundance, consistently, persistently, and with quiet faith, he could begin to shift the invisible foundation upon which his life was constructed. He began to practice faithfully. Each night, before falling asleep, he would enter a state of deep relaxation and imagine himself living differently, not with strained effort, not with desperate hoping, but with calm assumption. He would feel the reality of abundance as though it were already his present experience. He would see himself making decisions from a place of plenty rather than poverty. He would drift into sleep with a feeling of wealth permeating his consciousness. Within 2 years, circumstances began to shift in ways that his conscious mind could never have planned or predicted. An opportunity arose that had been invisible to him before. A partnership formed that he would previously have dismissed as impossible. Ideas began to flow from a source he could not explain, leading him toward a business venture that grew beyond anything he had imagined possible. The factory that had defined his limits became a distant memory, not because he rejected hard work, but because his work now flowed from a different inner pattern, one of expansion rather than limitation. What happened to Harold was not magic in the mystical sense, though it may appear so to those who do not understand the laws of mind. What happened was a precise operation of principle. His subconscious mind, having received a new pattern through consistent impression, proceeded to orchestrate circumstances, opportunities, impulses, and inspirations that corresponded to that new pattern. The outer world rearranged itself to match the inner belief, as it always does, as it must do, by the very nature of how consciousness creates experience. This is a truth that most people never discover because they remain focused exclusively on the external world, trying to change conditions that are merely effects while ignoring the cause that produces them. They rearrange the furniture of their lives endlessly, never realizing that the shape of the room itself is determined by something far more fundamental, the subconscious blueprint that underlies all manifestation. The scripture tells us, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Notice that it does not say, as a man thinketh in his head. The heart in biblical language refers to the subconscious mind, the feeling nature, the deep interior realm where true belief resides. You may think prosperity in your head while feeling poverty in your heart, and it is a heart that will determine your experience. You may affirm abundance with your lips while your subconscious whispers limitation, and the whisper will prevail over the shout. This is not a failure of the law. This is a precise operation of the law. The subconscious mind responds to your dominant feeling, your accepted belief, your inner conviction, not to the words you speak or the wishes you entertain on the surface of awareness. And this is both the challenge and the opportunity before you now. The challenge is that you cannot deceive your subconscious with mere verbal affirmation. The opportunity is that once you learn to impress it with genuine feeling and accepted belief, you gain access to a creative power that knows no external limitation. Let us examine more closely how this impression takes place, for here lies a practical key that transforms philosophy into demonstration. The subconscious mind is most receptive at certain times and in certain states of consciousness. When the critical faculty of the conscious mind is relaxed, during moments of deep relaxation, during the transition between waking and sleep, during states of heightened emotion, and during repetitive practice that bypasses intellectual analysis, the doorway to the subconscious opens wide, and whatever is presented to it in these moments enters with amplified power. This is why the technique of pre-sleep impression has been used by the wise for countless generations. In the drowsy state that precedes sleep, when the conscious mind begins to release its grip on analysis and judgment, the subconscious becomes extraordinarily receptive. Images held in mind, feelings cultivated in the heart, assumptions embraced as present reality, all of these sink deeply into the subconscious soil in this receptive state and take root with remarkable effectiveness. A woman I shall call Eleanor understood this principle and applied it with simple but profound faith. She was a widow in her middle years, facing circumstances that appeared completely devoid of hope. Her husband had passed suddenly, leaving debt she did not know existed. Her income was a fraction of what was needed. Her options, by any rational analysis, were severely limited. Yet Eleanor had learned the law, and she chose to apply it despite the testimony of her senses. Each night, as she prepared for sleep, she would quiet her mind and enter that gentle, drowsy state where the world recedes and inner space expands. In that state, she would imagine her circumstances completely transformed. She would see herself opening envelopes that contained checks rather than bills. She would feel the weight of financial burden lifting from her shoulders. She would hear herself saying to a friend, "I don't know how it happened, but everything changed." And she would fall asleep in that feeling of security and provision, giving her subconscious mind a new pattern to work with. She did not know how the change would come. She did not try to figure out the mechanism. She simply planted the seed in the fertile soil of her subconscious night after night, trusting the Lord to produce the harvest in its own time and manner. Within 6 months, 3 distinct events occurred that no conscious planning could have orchestrated. An old life insurance policy that had been forgotten was discovered among her husband's papers. A piece of property that had been considered worthless was sought after by a developer willing to pay far above any previous valuation. And a distant relative, whom she had not heard from in decades, reached out with an offer of support that arrived at the precise moment of greatest need. Eleanor understood that these were not coincidences. They were demonstrations of the law operating through a subconscious mind, which had received a new pattern and proceeded to attract, arrange, and manifest the corresponding conditions. The law does not always work in ways the conscious mind expects or can predict. It works through infinite intelligence, which sees connections and possibilities invisible to our limited waking awareness. The book of Proverbs declares, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths." The Lord, in this context, may be understood as the infinite intelligence that operates through your subconscious mind, the divine presence that knows all, sees all, and can accomplish all when you align yourself with its nature through faith and trust. Leaning not unto your own understanding means releasing the need to figure everything out with the conscious mind. It means relinquishing the burden of control and allowing the greater wisdom to orchestrate the details. It means planting your seed through clear intention and emotional impression, then stepping back with faith while the subconscious, working in conjunction with infinite intelligence, brings about the manifestation in ways that surpass your conscious calculations. This does not mean you become passive. This does not mean you cease to take action. What it means is that your action flows from a different place. Instead of action driven by fear, anxiety, and the desperate need to force outcomes, you take inspired action that arises naturally from a consciousness of abundance. The action feels different. It carries a different vibration. It produces different results. Consider the nature of a farmer who plants seeds in the earth. The farmer does not remain at the field night and day, anxiously digging up the seed to check their progress. The farmer does not exhaust himself trying to force the seeds to grow through sheer willpower. The farmer plants, provides what is needed, and trusts the law of growth that operates beneath the surface in ways invisible to the eye but certain in the outcome. The harvest comes not because the farmer worded it into existence, but because the farmer worked with the law rather than against it. You must become like this farmer in relation to your subconscious mind. Plant your seeds of abundance through clear mental imagery and sincere emotional feeling. Provide the conditions for growth through repetition, through faith, through the elimination of contradictory beliefs. Then trust the Lord to bring forth the harvest in its own perfect time. There was a young man, let us call him Marcus, who desired to launch a venture that required significant investment. By all conventional measures, he had no access to such resources. His background provided no connections to wealth. His credit history was unremarkable. His network included no one with the means to support such an undertaking. Yet Marcus understood the principle I am sharing with you now. Each morning, before fully awakening into the activities of the day, Marcus would spend time in that liminal state between sleep and waking. He would visualize a scene that implied the fulfillment of his desire. He saw himself sitting across a table from investors who were eager to participate in his vision. He heard their words of enthusiasm. He felt the handshake that sealed the agreement. He experienced the reality of his funded venture not as a distant hope, but as a present fact accepted by his subconscious mind. He did not approach this practice as work. He approached it as play, as creative imagination, as a delightful experience of dwelling in the reality he wished to manifest. There was no strain, no forcing, no desperate pleading. There was only assumption, the calm, quiet assumption that what he was experiencing inwardly was already an accomplished fact awaiting only its appearance in the outer world. Within 8 months, through a series of connections that defied rational explanation, Marcus found himself in precisely the meeting he had imagined. The investors were real. The enthusiasm was genuine. The handshake occurred exactly as he had seen it in his mind's eye. The venture was funded beyond his initial requirement. When asked later how he had achieved this, Marcus gave credit not to his networking skills, not to his business acumen, not to fortunate timing, but to the law of mind that had operated through a consistent practice of visualization and belief. The subconscious mind, having accepted the pattern, had arranged circumstances in ways that his conscious mind never could have engineered. This is the law. This is how it works. And it works for everyone who applies it correctly, regardless of their starting point, regardless of their history, regardless of the conditions that currently surround them. The law does not discriminate. It does not favor some and reject others. It responds to belief and feeling without exception, manifesting in the outer world whatever pattern has been impressed upon the inner. Let us now consider more deeply the role of feeling in this process, for here is where many earnest seekers fall short of demonstration. It is not enough to create mental images. It is not enough to repeat words or visualize scenes. The subconscious mind is not impressed by pictures alone or by verbal affirmations that carry no emotional charge. The subconscious mind responds to feeling, to the emotional quality that accompanies your mental activity. If you visualize wealth while feeling doubt, your subconscious receives a doubt. If you affirm abundance while feeling lack, your subconscious receives a lack. The feeling is a language of the subconscious, and it is to this language that it invariably responds. This is why the Master Teacher said, in the Gospel of Mark, "What things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." Notice the instruction, believe that ye receive them, present tense, not future. The belief must be so complete that it registers as present fact in your consciousness. And belief of this quality inevitably carries with it the feeling of having received. You cannot truly believe you have received something and simultaneously feel its absence. The belief and the feeling are inseparable. Your task, then, is not merely to wish for wealth or to hope for abundance. Your task is to cultivate within yourself the feeling of abundance, to dwell in that feeling so consistently that it becomes your dominant emotional state. This is not denial of current circumstances. This is a creative use of consciousness to establish a new pattern that will, by law, reshape those circumstances. When you learn to feel wealthy before the wealth appears, when you learn to feel secure before the security manifests, when you learn to feel provided for before the provision arrives, you are operating at a causal level rather than the level of effects. You are working with the law rather than waiting upon circumstances. You are becoming the creator of your experience rather than its victim. There was a salesman I knew of, we shall call him Robert, whose income had stagnated at a level that barely met his needs. He understood the principle intellectually, but his application was inconsistent. He would affirm prosperity in the morning and complain of lack by afternoon. He would visualize success before bed and wake with worry upon his lips. His subconscious received mixed signals and produced mixed results. Then Robert made a decision. He committed to feeling wealthy regardless of what his bank account reflected. He began each day with meditation upon abundance, not as a desperate technique, but as a genuine appreciation of the principle. Throughout the day, When lack thoughts arose, he gently redirected his attention to the feeling of sufficiency, to the sense that something wonderful was unfolding, to the quiet conviction that abundance was flowing toward him even if his eyes could not yet see it. At first, nothing changed in the external world. His sales remained the same. His circumstances persisted. But Robert understood that the delay was not evidence of failure. It was a period of inner preparation, the time during which the subconscious was accepting the new pattern and beginning to reorganize conditions accordingly. He persisted without discouragement. He maintained his feeling practice without demanding immediate results. After several months, something shifted. The right opportunity appeared. The right clients materialized. The right words flowed from his lips in presentations that had previously felt forced. His income began to rise, not incrementally, but dramatically. Within a year, he had multiplied his earnings beyond anything his conscious mind had dared to predict. Robert's story is not exceptional. It is a natural demonstration of the law by one who applied it correctly. And what he accomplished, any sincere practitioner can accomplish, for the law shows no favoritism. It responds to belief and feeling with absolute consistency, regardless of who holds that belief and generates that feeling. The prophet Isaiah recorded these words of divine assurance. I will go before thee, and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass, and cut in sunder bars of iron. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness, and hidden riches of secret places. These ancient words speak directly to the operation of infinite intelligence through the subconscious mind. When you align yourself with the law through faith and feeling, something goes before you into every situation, every circumstance, every encounter. Obstacles that seemed insurmountable dissolve. Barriers that appeared impenetrable yield. Treasures that were hidden become visible. The crooked places of your financial life can be made straight. The gates of limitation that have held you back can be broken. The hidden riches that await you in secret places, opportunities, ideas, connections, resources unknown to your conscious mind, can be revealed and given unto you. This is not poetic exaggeration. This is spiritual principle operating through the law of mind. And yet, this leads us to one of the most important elements of successful demonstration, the principle of non-resistance and allowing. So many seekers sabotage their own manifestation through excessive striving, through anxious effort, through the very intensity of their wanting. They push against current circumstances with such force that they reinforce the reality of those circumstances in their subconscious mind. They focus so heavily on what they lack that they impress the subconscious with a pattern of lack rather than the pattern of abundance. They strain toward a desire with such urgency that they communicate to their subconscious a message of desperation rather than faith. The law operates most powerfully through a consciousness of relaxed trust. When you plant your seed through visualization and feeling, then release it to the subconscious with complete confidence that it will grow, you create the optimal conditions for manifestation. The letting go is not passive resignation. It is active faith. It is a declaration that you have done your part in impressing the subconscious, and now you trust the Lord to do its part in producing the manifestation. Consider how Jesus handled the apparent problem of insufficient provision when faced with a multitude to feed. He gave thanks before the visible supply appeared adequate. He assumed abundance before his senses confirmed it. He acted from faith rather than from the testimony of material evidence. And the law responded with multiplication beyond immediate necessity. This is your instruction. Give thanks for abundance before it manifests in full. Assume the feeling of wealth before your circumstances confirm it. Act from the consciousness of plenty even while walking through the appearance of limitation. This is not pretense. This is creative faith applied to the law of mind. The Psalm of David declares, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." In spiritual understanding, the Lord is your own subconscious mind connected to infinite intelligence. When this deeper mind becomes your shepherd, when you entrust yourself to its wisdom and allow it to guide your path, you move out of want and into the experience of abundant provision. The green pastures and still waters of material abundance become your dwelling place, not through struggle but through trust. As we approach the end of this first portion of teaching, I want to impress upon you one final truth that must sink deep into your understanding. The power to transform your financial life does not reside outside of you. It does not wait in some distant future. It does not depend on external conditions aligning in your favor. The power is within you now, at this very moment, as you listen to these words. It is a power of your own subconscious mind, connected to the infinite intelligence that created all things and sustains all life. You have access to this power. It is your birthright. It was given to you not to be admired from a distance, but to be used, applied, and demonstrated in every area of your experience. The only question is whether you will learn to work with the law that governs its operation. Everything you have heard in this teaching is not theoretical philosophy. It is practical principle that you can begin applying tonight. As you close your eyes for sleep, enter the feeling of wealth. See yourself living the life you desire. Feel the reality of it as though it were already accomplished, and drift into slumber with that feeling permeating your consciousness. Repeat this practice faithfully, and watch how your subconscious mind begins to rearrange the circumstances of your life in response to the new pattern you have given it. There is no limit to what can be accomplished through the creative power of your subconscious mind working in conjunction with infinite intelligence. The wealth you seek is seeking you. The abundance you desire is waiting for the channel of your belief to open so that it may pour into your experience. The millions that have seemed blocked are not blocked by external forces. They have been held back only by the invisible patterns of thought and feeling that you now have the power to change. Believe this, accept this, and let this truth begin its transforming work within you from this very moment forward. As we continue this sacred journey into the depths of subconscious wisdom, I want you to understand that what you are receiving is not merely information, it is activation. Every truth that resonates within you is awakening something that has always existed in the core of your being. The power we speak of is not being created in you. It is being recognized, remembered, and released from the limitations that have obscured it. You have carried within you, from the moment of your first breath, a connection to the infinite source of all supply. This connection has never been severed. It cannot be severed. What has happened is that layers of false belief, negative conditioning, and accepted limitation have formed a kind of crust over this innate connection, preventing the free flow of abundance that is your natural inheritance. Our work together is a dissolution of that crust, the removal of those barriers, and the restoration of unobstructed flow between you and the infinite. Let us now go deeper into the understanding of how your mindset has functioned as a block to the millions that rightfully belong to you, and more importantly, how that block can be permanently removed. The word mindset itself reveals a profound truth. Your mind has been set, fixed in certain patterns, established in particular grooves of thinking, conditioned to respond to life in specific ways. These settings were not consciously chosen by you. They were impressed upon your subconscious during the formative years of your life, when your critical faculty was not yet developed, when you accepted without question the beliefs and attitudes of those around you. The financial consciousness you carry today is largely a reflection of what was deposited into your subconscious mind during those early years. If you were raised in an environment where money was scarce and that scarcity was treated as normal, your subconscious accepted scarcity as your natural condition. If you heard repeatedly that wealthy people were dishonest, that money was a root of evil, that spiritual people should not concern themselves with material abundance, these ideas entered your subconscious and became part of your mental programming. If you witnessed your parents arguing about bills, expressing fear about the future, or speaking of wealth as something that belonged to others but not to your family, these impressions form the template from which your own financial life will be constructed. This is not blame. This is understanding. Your parents and those who influence you were themselves operating from programming they had received. The chain of limitation often extends back through many generations, each one passing to the next the same patterns of lack consciousness that had been passed to them. But here is a liberating truth. You can be the one who breaks the chain. You can be the generation where the pattern stops and a new pattern begins. The subconscious mind, though powerfully conditioned, is not permanently fixed. It can be reconditioned. The old patterns can be overwritten with new ones. The settings that have limited you can be changed to settings that liberate you. This is not instant work. Patterns that have been reinforced for decades do not dissolve in a single session of meditation. But it is certain work. When you apply the principles consistently and correctly, transformation is inevitable. There was a woman I shall call Miriam who came from a long line of poverty. Her grandmother had cleaned houses. Her mother had cleaned houses. The unspoken assumption in her family was that women like them served the wealthy. They did not become wealthy themselves. Miriam absorbed this belief so thoroughly that she never questioned it. She took a job cleaning offices, and though she worked with dedication and skill, she never imagined that her life could be different. Then Miriam encountered the teaching of the subconscious mind. At first, she resisted. The idea that her thoughts and beliefs were creating her circumstances seemed to place an unfair burden on her, as though she were being blamed for conditions that had been imposed upon her by birth. But as she listened more deeply, she began to understand that this teaching was not about blame. It was about power. The same principle that explained why she was in poverty also contained the key to her liberation from poverty. Miriam began the slow, patient work of reconditioning her subconscious mind. She started with small steps, changing the words she spoke about herself, correcting the internal dialogue that had always reinforced limitation. When the old voice said, "People like us don't get ahead," she would consciously replace it with, "The law of abundance applies to me as fully as anyone." When the familiar feeling of unworthiness arose, she would pause and deliberately cultivate the feeling of being deserving, of being valued, of being a rightful heir to the infinite supply. At night, she practiced a pre-sleep technique with dedication. She would imagine herself in circumstances entirely different from those she had known, not as fantasy, but as a deliberate impression of a new pattern upon her subconscious. She would see herself making decisions about how to invest her abundance. She would feel the freedom that comes from having more than enough. She would hear herself giving generously to causes she cared about. And she would fall asleep in that state, allowing her subconscious to absorb the new vision. The transformation did not come immediately. There were months when nothing seemed to change, when the old circumstances persisted stubbornly, when doubt whispered that she was fooling herself. But Miriam had understood a crucial principle. The delay between planting and harvest is not evidence of failure. It is simply the nature of how seed grow. She continued her practice with quiet persistence. After nearly a year, the shift began to manifest. An opportunity arose that she would previously have dismissed as not for someone like her. A cleaning client, impressed by her reliability and character, mentioned a position in her company that required no qualifications Miriam lacked. Miriam applied, something her old self would never have done. She was hired. Within that company, her capabilities became evident, and she was promoted repeatedly over the following years. Today, Miriam owns a facilities management company that employs dozens of people. The granddaughter of a house cleaner became an entrepreneur not by denying her roots, but by reconditioning the subconscious patterns that had kept her confined. Miriam's story illustrates a principle that cannot be emphasized too strongly. Your current circumstances are not your destiny. They are the printout of your previous mental programming. Change the programming, and the printout must change accordingly. The law is impersonal and absolute. It does not say, this person deserves abundance, but that person does not. It says, according to your belief, so be it unto you. And this applies without exception to everyone who dwells upon this earth. The Gospel of Matthew records these words, Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For every one that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Notice the universality of this promise. Not some who ask receive, but everyone who asks. Not occasionally doors open to those who knock, but to everyone who knocks it shall be opened. The asking spoken of here is not the asking of words alone. It is the asking of consciousness, the clear, definite, feeling-infused intention that is impressed upon the subconscious mind. When you ask in this manner, you set in motion a law that must bring the answer. When you seek with genuine belief that what you seek exists and is available to you, the law guides you to its discovery. When you knock with a conviction that the door will open, the law swings it wide. But what of those who ask and do not seem to receive? What of those who seek and find only more emptiness? What of those who knock and stand before doors that remain closed? The answer lies not in the failure of the law, but in the manner of asking, seeking, and knocking. When asking is mixed with doubt, the subconscious receives a doubt. When seeking is accompanied by the expectation of failure, the subconscious manifests that expectation. When knocking is performed without genuine belief that the door can open, the subconscious accepts that limitation and produces corresponding results. This is why the cultivation of genuine belief is so essential to demonstration. And genuine belief cannot be faked. You cannot trick your subconscious with words you do not mean or visualizations you do not feel. The subconscious responds to your actual state, not to the state you pretend to have. This is why the work must be done at a deep level. Not merely changing words, but changing the feeling that underlies the words. Not merely imagining scenes, but genuinely entering into the reality of those scenes as though they were already accomplished. Let me share with you now a method of deepening your impression upon the subconscious mind that goes beyond basic visualization. When you enter your time of mental practice, whether in the morning upon waking or at night before sleep, begin by achieving a state of profound relaxation. Let your body release all tension. Let your breathing become slow and rhythmic. Allow the chattering of the conscious mind to quiet itself. In this state, you are opening the door to the subconscious, making it receptive to what you will impress upon it. Now, rather than simply picturing your desired outcome, enter fully into the scene as though you were living it in the present moment. Use all of your inner senses. See the colors, the details, the environment of your abundant life. Hear the sounds, conversations of congratulation, the rustle of papers representing prosperous transactions, the laughter of celebration. Feel the textures, the quality of clothing you wear, the surface of the desk where you conduct business, the keys of the car you drive. Even imagine the subtle sense and taste of this wealthy life you are impressing upon your deeper mind. The more vivid and sensory your impression, the more powerfully it registers in the subconscious. The subconscious does not easily distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and an actual one. This is why dreams can affect us so strongly, why memories can trigger physical responses, why imagining a frightening scenario produces actual fear in the body. Use this principle deliberately. Create within your imagination an experience of wealth so vivid that your subconscious accepts it as real. And here is a crucial element. Add the feeling of gratitude. As you dwell in your imagined scene of abundance, let thankfulness fill your heart. Thank the infinite source for the manifestation of your prosperity. Thank your subconscious mind for its creative power. Thank yourself for having the wisdom to apply the law. Gratitude amplifies the impression. It seals the work with an emotional signature that the subconscious cannot ignore. There was a young entrepreneur, we shall call him Daniel, who applied this technique with remarkable consistency. Daniel had a vision for a technology company, but he lacked the resources to bring it into being. Rather than focusing on the lack, Daniel spent 20 minutes each morning and each evening in deep visualization practice. He did not merely picture success in vague terms. He constructed a specific scene that implied the fulfillment of his desire. In Daniel's scene, he was standing in the lobby of his company's headquarters, looking up at the company logo on the wall. He could see every detail of that logo, its colors, its design, the way it caught the light. He could feel the smooth marble floor beneath his feet. He could hear the subtle hum of activity from the offices beyond. And most importantly, he could truly feel, the satisfaction, the pride, the gratitude of having built something meaningful that served thousands of people. Daniel did not know how his vision would manifest. He did not try to figure out every step of the journey. He simply impressed the end result upon his subconscious and trusted the Lord to orchestrate the means. And orchestrate it did. Ideas came to him in moments of quiet reflection. Ideas he knew did not originate from his conscious analysis but from a deeper source. People entered his life at precisely the right moments with precisely the right capabilities. Funding materialized through channels he never could have predicted. Within 5 years, Daniel stood in that lobby, looking up at that logo, feeling that satisfaction, not as imagination but as physical reality. The Apostle Paul wrote to the Philippians, "My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory." Notice that the supply comes according to riches in glory, according to the unlimited, abundant, infinitely resourceful nature of the divine source. Your needs are not met according to the limited resources of the material world, but according to the boundless riches of infinite intelligence working through your subconscious mind. When you align yourself with this source through faith and feeling, you tap into a supply that knows no shortage. Economic conditions cannot limit it. Market fluctuations cannot diminish it. Personal circumstances cannot block it. The supply flows from a dimension that transcends all material conditions, and it finds its way into your experience through whatever channels are necessary, expected or unexpected, conventional or miraculous. But now let us address a question that arises in many minds. What of the delay? What of the period between planting the seed and seeing the harvest? How is faith to be maintained when days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and still the manifestation has not appeared? This is where many sincere practitioners lose their way. They begin with enthusiasm, visualize with intensity, feel with genuine emotion, and then, When immediate results do not appear, they conclude that the law does not work, or that it does not work for them, or that they are doing something wrong. This conclusion, when accepted by the subconscious, becomes a new pattern that negates the original impression. The very doubt that arises from delayed manifestation becomes a cause of further delay. You must understand that the subconscious mind operates in its own time, which is not the clock time of the conscious world. It is working even when you see no evidence of that work. It is rearranging circumstances, preparing conditions, orchestrating events that will eventually converge to produce your manifestation. The farmer who plants in spring does not despair in summer because no harvest is yet visible. The farmer knows that growth is occurring beneath the surface, that the seed is developing according to its nature, that the harvest will come in its appointed season. Your faith must be of this quality. It must be able to trust the process even when the process is invisible. It must be able to rest in certainty even when the senses report no change. It must be able to persist in the assumption of fulfillment even when doubt knocks loudly at the door of your mind. The letter to the Hebrews defines faith as a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Consider the profundity of this definition. Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is not optimistic hoping. Faith is substance. It is actual and real. And faith is evidence. It is proof of what has not yet appeared in the visible world. When you hold faith correctly, you are holding in consciousness the very substance that will take form as your manifestation. You are providing the evidence to your subconscious that the thing desired is real, even before your physical eyes confirm it. There was a salesman I knew of, let us call him Theodore, who faced a prolonged period of apparent non-manifestation that tested his faith severely. Theodore had been applying the principles for nearly a year. He had visualized, he had felt, he had assumed, he had released, and yet his circumstances remained largely unchanged. His sales numbers were flat. His income had not increased. The breakthrough he had been impressing upon his subconscious seemed stubbornly delayed. Theodore faced a choice that every practitioner eventually encounters: continue in faith or abandon the practice in discouragement. He chose to continue, but he also went deeper. He examined his consciousness honestly and discovered that beneath his faithful practice was a subtle layer of doubt he had not fully addressed. Part of him did not truly believe he deserved the abundance he was seeking. Part of him suspected that the law might work for others but not for him. This hidden doubt had been counteracting his conscious intention all along. Theodore brought this doubt into the light and addressed it directly. He began to affirm not only his desired outcome but his worthiness to receive it. He meditated upon the truth that the infinite plays no favorites, that abundance was not reserved for a special few, but was a natural birthright of every soul. He felt, genuinely felt, that he was as deserving of prosperity as any person who walked the earth. This shift in his deeper feeling made all the difference. Within 3 months of this adjustment, Theodore's result transformed dramatically. A major account that he had been pursuing for years suddenly closed. Referrals began to flow from sources he had never cultivated. His sales numbers tripled within a single quarter. What had appeared to be a failure of the law was actually a period of necessary inner preparation, a time during which Theodore's consciousness was being ready to receive what he had been asking for. This story carries an important lesson. If manifestation seems delayed, look not to external causes but to internal conditions. Ask yourself honestly whether any part of you doubts, fears, or feels unworthy. These hidden patterns have power only when they remain unconscious. Once you bring them into awareness and address them with truth, their power dissolves, and the manifestation that was blocked can flow freely into your experience. The book of Isaiah contains this magnificent promise: "Fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." These words speak to the presence of infinite intelligence that accompanies you in every moment. You are not alone in your journey toward abundance. The very power that created the universe is available to strengthen you, to help you, to uphold you as you learn to work with the law of mind. Fear and dismay are the enemies of manifestation. They impress the subconscious with patterns that contradict abundance. But when you remember that you are not operating in isolation, that infinite intelligence is not merely observing your efforts but actively supporting them, fear loses its grip. You can relax into the certainty that the power behind all creation is on your side, working through your subconscious to bring about the fulfillment of your heart's desires. Let us now consider the practical matter of inspired action. Some who hear these teachings fall into the error of passivity, believing that mental work alone will produce results without any corresponding physical movement. This is a misunderstanding of the law. Your subconscious mind, once impressed with a pattern of abundance, will guide you toward action that serves the manifestation. Ideas will come. Impulses will arise. Opportunities will present themselves. But you must act upon these promptings. The farmer who plants seeds must also water them, protect them from pests, and eventually harvest them. Mental planting without physical nurturing and harvesting produces nothing. The difference is in the quality of action. Action taken from a consciousness of lack is strained, desperate, and often counterproductive. Action taken from a consciousness of abundance is inspired, effortless, and remarkably effective. When you have done the inner work, when your subconscious is impressed with a pattern of wealth and your feelings aligned with abundance, the right actions become obvious. You find yourself drawn toward opportunities that serve your manifestation. You find words flowing from your lips that open doors. You find yourself in the right place at the right time with the right people. This is the meaning of inspired action. It is not action you force yourself to take through willpower. It is action you are drawn to take through the guidance of your subconscious mind, which is connected to the infinite intelligence that sees a whole picture and knows exactly what is needed to bring your vision into form. A woman I shall call Veronica demonstrated this principle beautifully. She had impressed her subconscious with a vision of owning a beautiful home, a specific home in a specific neighborhood that she had seen and fallen in love with. By all conventional measures, this home was beyond her reach. Her income could not support the purchase. Her savings were insufficient for the down payment. The logical mind said it was impossible. But Veronica trusted the law. She visualized living in that home. She felt the satisfaction of walking through its rooms. She imagined hosting gatherings with friends and family in its spacious living areas. She fell asleep night after night in the consciousness of already being the owner of that home. Then the inspired action began. Veronica felt prompted to have a conversation with a colleague she rarely spoke with. In that conversation, she mentioned her dream, not as complaint but as confident sharing. Her colleague knew a developer who sometimes offered creative financing arrangements. The colleague made an introduction. The developer was intrigued by Veronica's vision and offered terms that no bank would have considered. Within 4 months, Veronica was standing in her new home, the very home she had visualized, holding the keys in her hand. Every step of the process had been guided. The initial prompting to speak, the content of the conversation, the connection to the developer, the unusual terms that made the purchase possible, none of this had been planned by Veronica's conscious mind. It had all flowed from the subconscious impression and the infinite intelligence that orchestrated the details. Veronica's role was to impress the subconscious, trust the process, and take the inspired actions when they arose. As we move toward the completion of this teaching, I want to leave you with the most important truth of all. You possess, at this very moment, everything you need to transform your financial life completely. There is no secret knowledge you lack. There is no special technique that remains hidden from you. There is no qualification you must obtain before the law will work for you. Everything has been given to you in this teaching and in the innate capacity of your own mind. The subconscious is your subconscious. The infinite intelligence is connected to you as fully as any person who has ever lived. The law operates for you exactly as it operates for the most prosperous individual on earth. What remains is only the application. Will you take what you have learned and put it into practice? Will you commit to the daily discipline of impressing your subconscious with abundance? Will you persist through the periods of apparent delay without losing faith? Will you address the hidden doubts and fears that may be counteracting your conscious intentions? Will you take inspired action when the guidance comes? These are the questions that will determine your financial future. Not luck, not circumstances, not the economy, not your background, but these choices that are entirely within your control. The psalm declares, "Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart." To delight in the Lord is to dwell in conscious communion with the infinite presence that operates through your subconscious mind. It is to approach your practice not as drudgery, but as joy. It is to take pleasure in the creative process, to enjoy the visualization, to bask in the feelings of abundance even before they manifest materially. When you approach the law in the spirit of delight, you remove the resistance that straining creates. You open yourself fully to receive what the infinite is eager to give. You become a clear channel through which abundance can flow without obstruction. The millions that have seemed blocked are not blocked by forces outside of you. They have been waiting, with infinite patience, for the channel of your consciousness to open. That channel opens through belief. It opens through feeling. It opens through the persistent impression of abundance upon your subconscious mind. And it opens through the release of every pattern that has contradicted the truth of your infinite potential. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a creator of circumstance. You are not bound by the past. You are the sculptor of the future. You are not limited by what has been. You are the architect of what will be. The power that created galaxies and orchestrates the dance of atoms is the same power that resides within your subconscious mind. When you learn to work with this power according to its laws, there is literally nothing you cannot accomplish. Wealth beyond your current imagination is possible. Freedom beyond your current experience is available. Abundance in every area of life is your rightful inheritance. Claim it now, not with doubt, but with certainty, not with hesitation, but with bold confidence, not with half-hearted effort, but with the full commitment of your being. Begin tonight. When you lay your head upon the pillow, let go of the worries and limitations of the day. Enter the state of relaxation where the subconscious becomes receptive. Construct in your imagination a scene that implies a complete fulfillment of your financial desires. See it, hear it, feel it, live within it as though it were already your present reality. Let gratitude fill your heart, and drift into sleep with a consciousness of abundance permeating every level of your being. Do this faithfully, persistently, without demanding that the manifestation appear according to your timeline. Trust the law. Trust your subconscious. Trust the infinite intelligence that is even now orchestrating the details of your prosperity. The teachings you have received today are offered as educational inspiration, meant to illuminate the timeless principles of subconscious mind science that have been taught by wise teachers throughout the ages. They represent original reflections on the general philosophy of mental and spiritual prosperity. As with all such teachings, their value lies in personal application. Take what resonates with your own inner wisdom. Apply your own judgment and discernment. Let inspired action arise from within you as you engage with these principles. No teaching can guarantee specific outcomes, for each individual's journey is unique, and the manifestation of these principles depends upon factors only you can control: the depth of your belief, the consistency of your practice, the sincerity of your feeling, and the willingness to persist through apparent delay. What can be said with confidence is that countless individuals throughout history have applied these principles and experienced remarkable transformations, and the same possibility exists for you. May these words serve as seeds planted in the fertile soil of your consciousness. May they take root and grow into a harvest of abundance beyond your present imagining. May the infinite intelligence that dwells within you guide your path, illumine your understanding, and bring forth into manifestation the fullness of prosperity that is your divine birthright. The millions that have seemed blocked are blocked no more. The channel is opening. The flow is beginning. Your subconscious mind is now aligned with the truth of infinite abundance. And as you walk forward from this moment, you walk as one who knows, truly knows, that the wealth you seek is already seeking you, that the prosperity you desire is already moving toward you, and that the life of freedom and plenty you have imagined is even now taking form in the invisible realm, preparing to burst forth into your visible experience. Go in peace. Go in power. Go in the absolute certainty that the law never fails, that the subconscious always responds, and that your faithful application of these principles must, by the very nature how consciousness creates reality, produce the abundance you have impressed upon your deeper mind. The teaching is complete. The power is yours, and the manifestation is certain.